Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Mind of an Entrepreneur show. Peace be unto you also. Tonight we are on episode 1 of my 6-part series, Building Our Economy. And tonight's episode is entitled Market Expansion. So like, subscribe, tell a friend, and we'll get started in a few. You're tuned in to the Mind of an Entrepreneur show with your host, myself, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. I am a multi-million-dollar business developer. I have developed business and real estate around the world, and I want to share with you my mental strategies, my technical strategies, and how I made it in the world of business. So I don't teach theory. I tell you about my life and introduce you to people who can also share with you what they've done to become successful. This is a practical show. This ain't a theory show. You don't want to miss it. So stay tuned.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided Thee right, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
And I'm saying this to all of us. Our people are ready to spend their money with their own. There's no time better than this for 6 or 8 of you to pool your money and look in the community and open up a store to fulfill the needs of our people, and we will support you. It's your time now. That's being a man. Supporting your own people that are in business. Going into business yourself. Think out of the box. What can you create that will put black people to work? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who in my judgment is the master historian, taught us that of all our studies, history is the most attractive, and it is best qualified to reward the researcher. History is most attractive. Why should history be most attractive? Because history is the recorded time of the human family in its struggle to overcome obstacles. There is no life that is without struggle. The Holy Quran teaches us that man, meaning man and woman, is made to face difficulties. And after difficulty comes ease. But it is history that guides us through difficulty. For if you know how people who had difficulty yesterday got through, and if your difficulty is somewhat similar, then today we also can get through if we follow the guidance of history. This is why Carter G. Woodson and many of our black giants fought for black people to know our history. Because in not knowing our history, we don't have a guide. And without a guide, we are lost. No wonder the Bible...
Happy New Year. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. Wishing you all peace and love this new year. I hope it's starting off well and peaceful for you. So tonight, we're talking about building our economy. And this episode is entitled Market Expansion. I'm your host, in case you didn't know, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. I'm an international business and real estate professional. I'm an artist, and business is my canvas. So welcome to the Mind of an Entrepreneur show that was started in the second bedroom of my apartment in Chicago on Blog Talk Radio back in 2009. Each week for the past 15 years, it's been 780 weeks where I've personally written 1 to 2 unique shows per week designed to share my knowledge and experiences in the world of business. I have quite a catalog. And so right now we're working on trying to figure out what's the best use of it. Some possibilities of creating some other shows, maybe just one big book, maybe one just big long episode. I don't know. We're still working on it. I've been consistently studying business since I was 10 years old. This is a calling for me. It's something that I am uniquely gifted at. Allah has blessed me tremendously by giving me something to singularly focus on for most of my life. Business always comes up for me, like an artist is always thinking of how to utilize like a beautiful piece of fabric or a lush crayon. It's the vehicle to my independence. My mind is wired for this, and there's literally nothing I can do about it. I try to do other stuff. Only time will tell why Allah has decided to express himself in me in this way for so long on such a consistent basis. So on this show, I give you mental strategies and secrets that I have discovered that are not always so popular because, as you may or may not know, the science of business has been manipulated and tricked out of us, primarily because if you want to crush a creator, you have to be a master at stealing and destroying. And this is what has happened to us. We've been tricked out of our divine heritage. We are made in the image and likeness of God. We are direct descendants of God himself. That's a scientific fact. And God is a creative. He creates and reproduces. That's what he does. So since we've been tricked and we don't know who we are blind, deaf, and dumb to the power of our creative minds. And since we live in a world where stealing and destroying are the primary tools of power, it's easy for us to get bamboozled into thinking that stealing and destroying is greater, easier, and superior to creating. And since we see all around us is various forms of this types of behavior, most of us don't do anything creative. We don't write, we don't sing, we don't draw, we don't design, we don't invent, we don't even think creatively. Our creative muscles are suffering from atrophy. And atrophy is the gradual decline in effectiveness or vigor due to underuse or neglect. It is most often caused by lack of nutrition and lack of movement. We're not feeding our nutrition. We're not moving. We're not applying any energy to our creativity. So since we have stopped exercising and nurturing our creativity, we are blind to a way of life that is aligned with our natural self. And with that, we think that stealing and destroying is the only way to be successful. And some of us have become very successful at doing those very things and helping somebody else to do it. I know stealing and I know destroying are very powerful and charged words. So much so that for those of us who think that we're righteous, we just tune them out. Like, I know she ain't talking to me. Some of us are not bold and outright with it. Some of us are a little more subtle. And maybe the foundation of our business plan or life strategy, but it may not be the foundation or of our life or business plan, but it pops up. When we get jealous, we get insecure. Some people get so jealous and insecure, they just immediately go to, I want to kill that person. I want to destroy them. I want to cut their business off. I want to stop them. If a person's a great performer and we're jealous of the reaction that they get from someone that we want attention from also, we steal their act or their writing or their idea. We try to sabotage. We talk about them. We try to block them from getting recognition or attention. We try to control people by taking over their business. And a lot of times we just try to freeze somebody out. I see y'all in the chat. Welcome, Sandra D. Thank you for joining. Wa alaikum salam, sis. Nubia Latifa, wa alaikum salam. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, Mom. Thank you for joining. Thank you to the rest of you. A couple people in here I can't recognize. I don't know how to pronounce your thing, so I'm going to come back, okay? But this kind of behavior is just not our nature. I was speaking with a friend of mine in Nigeria the other day, and we talked about how destruction and thievery is just not our nature. This is really why we as Black people keep getting tricked all around the world. It's just not who we are. We are forgiving and loving. We're not stupid. We are just not like them. So until we wake up and begin to understand that there are creative ways to solve problems, creative ways to be successful in relationships, creative ways to get along with people, creative ways to be successful in business, we'll always fall victim to our own nature, which is the exact opposite of stealing and destroying. So when we exercise our creativity, it gives us more options. And when we have more options, we'll be less likely to fall back on what we see everybody else doing. We'll be less likely. We won't care so much about how much attention somebody else is getting. We won't think about, let me destroy this person. We won't sit up and allow who they are and their successes to occupy so much real estate in our mind, because we'll get addicted to the creativity. So I want to do my part to help raise our awareness from what I've learned and experienced about another way of thinking and living and doing business that is much more in alignment with our nature. And since God came to make himself known, and since we live in a world where this type of stealing and destruction is so prevalent, when our system of success, I'm talking about our personal systems of success, are in alignment with the image and likeness of God as creatives, we will activate an accelerant that will make it plain to the whole world that God is present. And what God wouldn't help you and I if we are helping others to see that he, in fact, is real. So today on our series on building our economy, let's talk about step one, market expansion. All right. Walaikum salam, Brother Stanley. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share this with a friend real quick while we're still talking, while we're early in the program. Click the notification bell so that you know when we are live. Grab your phone, click over, go to the Cash App, support the content. We also have a big show on Saturday, Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks. We're going to be answering the question, am I good enough? That's a whole loaded healing process. And I want to talk to you about my healing journey on that and hope that it will help to spark something, because healing, we spend most of our time healing. We'll be able to manifest whatever it is that we want. All right, so let's talk about market expansion. This subject came in as what I call like a download from me a couple weeks ago. And then again, this past weekend, when I was studying Queen Amina of Zazu or Zaria. Zazu is the present-day city of Zaria, Kaduna State, Nigeria. Most of the documentaries talk about how powerful of a warrior Queen Amina was, but many leave out her economic prowess. Through conquest after conquest, she expanded her kingdom to its largest in history and controlled regional trade routes. Queen Amina is also an exceptional architect. She ruled from 1533 to 1610. So what's that, about 500 years ago? In fact, many economies throughout history, I don't know if y'all know this, were fueled by the creative nature of women. And one of the first things that Queen Amina accomplished, which is very much like Queen Sheba, and many of the other queens equivalent to her in power, is she began by expanding her market. Let me note that in studying the building of great ancient economies, most, if not all, except the current economic system that we live in that is currently falling, they were established by people who maintained those systems through creativity and relationship building. The current economic system we live in was spawned and started by slavery or some concept of cheap or free labor, which means that this economic system will disintegrate if it doesn't find a way to deploy cheap or free labor. Otherwise, a new system is inevitable. And what I'm saying to us as conscious entrepreneurs, let's be a part of that new system. Let's be a part of that new way of doing things. Let's be a part of that movement that changes the way business is done in America. May sound like a big thing to do right now, but it won't take that many of us to put our minds to it. Let's start with some fairness, some freedom, some justice, some equality, and how goods and services are exchanged in our economy. All right, so anyway, let's talk about market expansion. I'm assuming that if you're here that you know what a market is. All right, so there are two components we're going to talk about to a market. Number one, a market is a regular gathering of people for the purchase and sale of provisions, livestock, and other economies. Okay, so it's a regular gathering of people who get together to purchase and sell items, provisions, livestock, and commodities. Okay. Number two, the second point is it is also an area or arena in which commercial dealings are conducted, where buyers and sellers can meet to facilitate the exchange or transaction of goods and services. Markets can be physical, like a retail outlet, or they can be virtual, like a e-retailer or like the internet. Okay. All right. So let's go here. Before we expand our market, we have to define our market. Okay. So when I'm working with clients, whether it's a municipality or you as an individual or a corporation, we have to define our market. Okay. Once we define our overall market, then we do what is called market segmentation. The term market segment refers to people who are grouped together for marketing purposes. Market segments are part of a larger market, often lumping individuals together based on one or more similar characteristics. When I work with companies to design marketing strategies, I use various criteria to develop a target market for their products and services. And the company marketing professionals approach each segment differently, right? Like once we segment it, then they come up with their strategy and how they're going to address it. But the idea is that they have to fully understand the needs of their market, the lifestyles, the demographics, personality of the target consumer. So this is why when you get online and your behaviors are being tracked, they know your lifestyle, they understand your demographic, your personality. And so they make an assumption on what they think that your buying patterns are going to be. So remember, before we expand our market, we need to define and then segment our market. Okay. So this is even for us as individuals. We have a product or service. Before we expand it, we got to define it. Where do we sell? What's that marketplace? Where do we come together? How do we exchange these goods and services that we're developing for money? And where do we do it? Then we have to segment our market. Okay. And I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version of this because this could be a whole semester of classes. Okay. But I think it's important that you go and study this after the show. So welcome, Sister Alicia. Wa alaikum salam. I'm so glad that you could catch us, sis. Welcome, welcome. Regional Sky Girl, she's here. Wa alaikum salam. She says she just made it home and she prays that everyone is doing well. And someone typed this in the chat for me. I'll do it. I got it. I just want to take a quick break because when we're doing these really heavy academic subjects, I like to give y'all a little break so y'all can catch up a little bit or digest, I should say. I won't say catch up. This is the email address. You can use this if you want to book me for a coaching session or consulting, or if you follow me on social media at Sajdah Wendy Muhammad, there's a link in the bio that you can click and you can go right there and schedule your session. Okay. Get a coach, get a consultant. If you're starting a new business, don't try to just do it all yourself because there's going to be so many emotional blind spots. You're going to miss stuff. You're going to need some help. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of companies have whole teams of, that's what these board of advisors are, people who advise them on how to do their business. So don't be afraid. Don't think it's a letdown if you need a consultant or you need a coach to get your business going, to scale your business, to solve a problem in your business. And even if you want to start the road of healing your money psychology and working on yourself as an individual entrepreneur, there's nothing wrong with getting a coach. Because again, what I'm going to help you do is get you past your emotional blind spots. Even in business, when you're opening businesses, it's tough. It's hard. Part of some of the healing work that I've been doing is I've been through so much when it comes to business that I had to start saying, you know what? No, you're good. You're good enough and you're good at this. And you deserve some of these big lofty things that you're working on. So we're going to talk more about that on Saturday. But I just wanted to put that here in the chat. I'll let it sit here on the screen for a little while. If you want to book a session, you can email me here and I'll send you the link, or you can go to the link in my bio and then go ahead and book your session. But Don't be afraid if you need a coach. And don't be ashamed. We have this thing, marginalized people have this thing where we always feel like we got to fake it and act like we know so much and we got it going on. And that really is a death blow to our success. It's really, really a challenge. And what it does is it just makes us super phony. And when you're super phony and super fake like that, it's very difficult to manifest, especially if you're a marginalized people and you gotta market to other marginalized people. What it'll make you do is you'll be unsuccessful at being your own phony self. So you'll have to start deploying some of these wicked tactics that we were talking about that are of the world. I hate to use that, but that kind of stealing and destroying. Because remember, the devil can't create. He can only steal and destroy. And so there's all these different versions of that out here that we resort to when our creative muscles are suffering from atrophy. Let me know in the chat if you understand that. All right. So let's see. What are we talking about here? Let's go here. To meet the basic criteria of a market segment, there are 3 characteristics that must be present. Okay. So we talked about before we expand our market, we're going to segment our market or further define our market. Number 1, there must be homogeneity among the common needs of the segment. So the people in the segment have to have something in common. Okay. So when you're defining your market, you say, look, I created this item and I want to sell it. Who am I going to sell it to? Well, the first thing you want to do is define a group that is homogeneous, that has something in common, that may have an interest in your product. Number 2, there needs to be a distinction that makes the segment unique from other groups. So what is it about that segment that is unique? And so you want to write that down. And we would go through these steps if I was coaching or consulting your business or even you as an individual. What about that group is distinct from other groups? Okay. And then you want to think about the presence of a common reaction or a similar and somewhat predictable response to market is requiring. So what you want to do is you want to say, once I find this group, once I know they're distinct, if I drop something out there, I know that the majority of the people in this group are going to respond the same way. Okay, that's the Cliff Note version. Now, I started out talking about Queen Amina and how she expanded her market. Queen Amina, known as the Warrior Queen, ruled Kaduna State, which was an approximately 500 square mile region located in the northwest region of Nigeria in the mid-16th century. It has encompassed the 7 original states of Hausa land: Katsina, Dara, Kano, Zazo, Gobir, Rano, and Garangabas, according to the African Feminist Forum. Okay. After her father died, Amina's brother, Karama, took the throne while she trained and became, by all accounts, a ruthless warrior, earning the respect of the male-dominated military. When her brother died, she became the first queen of the Hausa people. Shortly after taking power, Amina led her first military campaign, commanding an army of 20,000 men. Through conquest after conquest, she expanded her kingdom to its largest in history and controlled regional trade routes. Type that in the chat. She controlled regional trade routes. Queen Amina also is known as an exceptional architect. In fact, she is credited with building strong earthen walls around the city that became the prototype for fortifications in all Hausa states and around conquered cities. They really are magnificent walls. I've seen them. I've been there. Not now known as Amina's walls, many still remain in existence. Now, Queen Amina expanded her market using sharpened weapons that helped her and her warriors to take over nearby lands. And I'm certainly not advocating that you sharpen your physical weapons. That's not our way. We only fight with those who fight with us. But I am advocating that we sharpen our mental and spiritual and intellectual weapons in order to expand our market. I love to use history to learn and study techniques, because when you study history, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says it is the greatest at rewarding our research. Now, first off, many of us start focusing on expanding our markets before we've even developed a market or before we have even worked on our marketing, period. Or before we've even worked on our existing market. I say it that way. Many times when I meet with entrepreneurs, you're worried about impressing customers that you don't even have. So in so many ways, we're adjusting our behaviors and code switching to impress imaginary customers or customers that we hope to get. In many cases, our customers are right up under our noses. With $1 trillion passing through our hands annually, don't fall for the trick that says that people in your own community don't have any money. If the broader market is focused on your community, then you best believe there's something there. They're just telling you that there is nothing there, so you won't focus there and you won't do business with each other. That has to change. Okay? It's got to change. There's so many ways that I've seen this said in the last few days. Thank you all. Welcome, Miss Awana. Welcome. Walaikum salam. Sandra D said, yes, we need each other to advance, especially when someone been there and done that. Yeah, we got to just study it. It's so easy. It is so easy when you study history to tap into the mind of the person that you're learning about. And when you tap into that person's mind, you just learn so much more than even if you just read it without really spiritually reading it. We'll have a whole conversation about that. Okay, let me keep going. How do we expand our markets? Okay, and say this before I talk about step one. Again, many of you come to me, you book a session, you say, I've created this product or service, but I don't know who to sell it to. And I say, you've got customers all around you, right up under your noses. You're sitting on a warm market. And so we talk about that warm market. Many of us start going out looking at the cold market before we even tap the warm market. Many of us, I got another story I'm going to tell y'all about that. Let me go into this. All right, so step one of expanding our market, define your new target market. Type that in the chat for me. Step one is define your new target market. Who are they? What is their lifestyle? What is their socioeconomic status? How old are they? What is their profession? Social media, your website provider, even YouTube can help you to begin to analyze market data. Who is attractive to your content? What is the demographic of your existing customer base? And then once we get that data, you have to eyeball it and touch it. What do I mean? Well, it's like being a doctor. When a patient comes into your office with a chief complaint, you analyze the data. You review their history. You have them fill out something and you ask questions about their history. You get a list of their medications. You do a timeline, like how long they've experienced specific symptoms, etc. And you order a series of tests. And then you do a physical examination. You eyeball the patient. Do they appear fatigued? Are their eyes discolored? What about their appearance gives you clues as to what's going on with them? You document all of that, and then you use all of that data to make your conclusion or your final diagnosis, and then you create a treatment plan. Let me give you an example of what happened to me. When I wrote my first book, I have it here. Some of you have it. It's available on Amazon. When I wrote my first book, I was very focused on writing the book for people in my demographic, corporate professionals at that time who wanted to become independent contractors or business owners. I thought that women in my age group and socioeconomic demographic would be most responsive. And then I was video and audio blogging for a while. And I wrote a few ebooks. And then I started to have data that I could review. I started to see who was responding, who was paying attention to what I was saying. And although I had a certain demographic in mind, I had to pivot and make sure that I didn't push the square peg into a round hole, so to speak. Why? Because I was stunned to find that the most responsive people to my work were youth 21 and under. I didn't plan on that. Had no plans for that. And the second largest group was men, ages 35 to 65. I didn't plan on that either. I was like, where are the sisters? Now, if I had kept pushing to capture the clients that I thought I would attract, what would I have been doing? I'd have been dissing the people who are showing me love. So what I'm saying to you is don't step over the people who show you love. Don't throw away the people who love you. Focus on who's paying attention to you. Pay attention to those who are paying attention to you. So my next step 2 in the chat, please, is to do your market research. So once I saw that I had this data and I started seeing who was responding to me and who was most attractive, I said, wow, I got to lean into this. This means something. And so my work, because it came from my soul and I felt like it was a calling, it began to lead me in directions and I had to pay close attention. And so I did step 2, and that is to do the market research. I did the research and found that both my research and results didn't match my original intentions. So I had a choice to make. I could either keep pushing for a market that was not really responding to me, like many of us are doing, worrying about customers that I didn't have, or who aren't even paying attention to me. Or I could expand my market by moving on to step number 3. Step 3 is enter the market or look for another target market. So instead of looking for another target market, I settled into my most responsive demographic. And it became very rewarding. Every fiber of my approach has my target market in mind. I overserve them so that they get the most out of my content and services. My mindset is to give them more in service value than what I receive in return. And by overserving a market and just leaning into that lush, fertile market of love that began to pop up for me, I started to see my content have legs and longevity. And it really made me think, I got to be consistent, because these babies at 21 and under who are listening to me, and I didn't even plan on marketing to them, oh, I got to be consistent. And I got to tell the truth. And I got to come a certain way. And so it even just made me step my game up. Then there's step 4, create a plan to enter the market. And then I had to begin to create that plan, not just an intention in order to enter a new market segment. So I had to start studying. What are they looking for? What is it about me that they're attracted to? So the first step building our economy is defining, segmenting, and expanding our market. We have to be honest with ourselves and not let our biases prevent us from reviewing the data accurately. If you want to serve more people, for example, in the Asian community or the white community, then understand their behaviors and devise a plan to enter the market. That wasn't my market. Even though I was coming out of corporate America, I grew up pretty much in a very white environment, went to a school that was majority white. I start doing these blogs and all this stuff. And who's coming to see me? Who's buying my book? Who's listening? Youth, ages 21 and under, and primarily Black males, 35 to 65. How do people like Michael Jackson become crossover artists who are beloved around the world? Was he a crossover artist before he was popular in Gary, Indiana? See, some of us start wanting to cross over before we're popular at home. Home is the market that is most responsive to you. Is it necessary to become a crossover success? Or can you make a nice chunk of change and get a little piece of that $1 trillion without being a crossover artist? I hope that makes sense to you guys. I really hope it makes sense. Sandra D said, wow, serve those who are paying attention and go where the market is. Yeah, serve those people that are paying attention to you. Don't be so quick to want to become a crossover artist, because that's going to usually, and let me say this too, and this is for the Black people that are watching. We are generally market leaders. Usually whatever we do sets the trend. How we dress, how we talk, how we dance, how we act, what we say, what we invent, what we do. And so if you own your market, then crossover is inevitable if that's what you want. But I get so many clients that come to me and they want those customers who are white or Asian or Hispanic, and they don't want customers in their own Black or Hispanic community or whatever their community is. And I'm like, wait a minute. Especially if you're from a Black community where your community has a history of being a trendsetter, own your community. And then the other people will come. Because if you speak the language of your community, you can always market that to the broader community. You can go to that broader community and say, I know how to get these people. I keep telling you all like about the Black Muslim Business Directory and the niche of conscious Black people that we serve. It's a specific market that if you're not an active part of that economy, you don't know how to market to us. You may think you do because maybe you hung out with us years ago, but you don't know. And never diss and trample all over your existing customers just because you want to be known on the other side of the tracks per se, or just because there is more money over there, or so you think. Be honest about your demographic of your existing customers and stop acting like you're too good for them. Let me give you an example. I was talking to a client the other day who happened to be a Muslim man, and the majority of his customers are Muslims. And I'm not revealing any of his confidentiality. I told him that I was going to talk about this in general, and he was okay with it because he had such an aha moment when we had this conversation. So anyway, the majority of his customers are Muslims, but his desire is to serve the broader community. He sees bigger dollar signs over there. That's all he would talk about over and over and over again. But he has deeper roots in the Muslim community than he does in the broader community. But he gets so excited when he gets a few dollars from the broader community. He literally was trampling and neglecting his Muslim customers and allowing his desire to cross over, to have crossover appeal, to lead him to neglect his strongest customer base. He didn't even realize that he was doing this. See, it's the residue of self-hatred. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we love the devil because the devil gives us nothing. Think about that. So my client, he kept saying, I didn't open my business just for Muslims and blah, 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 blah. He just kept going on and on and on. And finally, after a while, I said, well, maybe you didn't open your business for the Muslims, but they have provided you with a sustainable amount of business. And if we subtract their business from your portfolio, you would almost be out of business. You shouldn't bite the hand that feeds you. So he had some thinking to do about his target market. See, he was focused on customers that he didn't even have and likely won't ever get. And in the meantime, he was neglecting the customers that he currently has and the target market that he represented. All he had to do was focus on going deeper into the target market that was most responsive to him. A few more customers from the target market that is already responding to him will solve most of his financial problems. And in a lot of cases, that's true for a lot of us. We're so busy. I don't know, this self-hatred is so ugly and it's so nasty that, we want to be something that we're not. We want to be somebody else. We want the broader community to love us, or we want a community outside of ourselves to love us. Stop for a minute. God put you in a position where you are for a reason. You are blessed. That's your target market. It's people doing stuff in your community. And as soon as you turn down the hatred, you can get more customers that look like you. You can get more customers that are more as lucrative as these customers that you think are on the outside. You'll get there one day. You'll get there. You will definitely get there. And trust me, you don't really want to become popular in that community and not popular in your own community. Because 9 times out of 10, when they kick you to the curb, you're going to have to come back home. I'm just saying. All right. Again, like I said, this is just a sign of self-hatred, to be honest with you. When you hate what loves you, what does that say about us? And I said to the brother, I said, looks like you have some healing to do, my brother. And he agreed. He was so remorseful. We all have healing to do. Healing or self-improvement is the basis for community development. Without self-improvement, there is no developed community and there is no economy to build. What's the alternative? Well, you can always resort to stealing and destroying. But what will that do to your overall spiritual economy? Think about it. We live in a different day and time. It's a different day and time. Karma is quite the bitch. She's patient. She takes down names and addresses and always comes back to collect. So don't be so quick to opt out of healing and jump over to, well, I'm just going to do some quick scam. I'm going to steal something. I'm going to destroy something. Don't be so quick because you might not get away with it. Let's be creative, family. Let's think outside the box so we can climb outside the box. Remember, the devil can't create. He can only steal and destroy. The choice is ours. Let's align with our rightful self or suffer the consequences. We can turn this thing around if we just change our mindset. That's all we got to do. Let's change our mindset. Overserve your community. There's not a person that can say that they hired me where I didn't give them more in service value than what they gave me, because it's important to me. It's important to me because I'm on a mission to serve and be better in my service and to help people to solve problems that will change their lives so that they then can pay it forward and help somebody else to solve a problem and help somebody else to solve a problem. Of course, we all got to get paid. We all have to be sustained. Okay. We can't just walk around and do it for free, but we got to pay it forward. We got to do more. We got to be more. We got to live better. And so in building our economy, first got to begin with healing. We got to begin with healing. Begin with healing and go step by step by step. Who's my target market? See, because when you start healing, you can see what's going on around you. When you start healing, you're not so quick to pick up somebody else's behavior and mimic it, thinking that it makes sense. You're not so quick to be a copycat. You're not so quick to be so fake and phony. It's easier to do business when you know who you are. And settle in. Settle in. And let me say this. I want us to think about, let's try our best to stop hating on one another. Let's really try our best to be all in for one another. Now, don't get me wrong. I know you can't do this with everybody, but you got to kind of find your tribe. Who's your market? Who's your support group? Who are the people that you can really just lean in with and say, you know what? I support you and I got you and I love you. Who are those people in your life? And we got to try our best to be that for somebody. When's the last time you picked up the phone and called a friend, a cousin, a relative, somebody you cool with to just say, you know what, how you doing? Is there anything I can help you with? Maybe you can say, I don't have a lot of money, but I can tell you some jokes. I could go for a walk with you. I can send you a hug. I can come over and give you a hug. Let me shovel your snow. Let me cook you some food. What can we do for one another? See, because when we start healing those target markets, those ways to make money, those ways to introduce much needed goods and services into our community, they become much clearer. It's much easier to do. Reason why we're so stressed out and we can't think because we got our mind on somebody else. We got our mind on somebody else, something else, doing something else for somebody else, to the point where we don't have our own identity anymore. We don't even know who we are. So being in business in this manner in which I'm talking about. Now, don't get me wrong, we got a bridge. Okay. So we got to steal away. I call it a bridging process. We're not just jumping in feet first, head first, or anything like that. But what we are doing is we're going to heal our way into business. We're going to have strong technical strategies. Let me just use myself as an example, because a lot of people, when they are spiritual in business, they're not that good at business. But I'm spiritual and I'm damn good at business. So I'm going to show you how you can, by the grace of Allah, combine those concepts so that you are conscious as a business person, conscious as an entrepreneur, and you don't practice predatory behaviors that are responsible for the conditions that we're trying to get up out of ourselves. And it's difficult. It's difficult. You know why it's difficult? Because we really haven't been shown any other way. See, business is going on all around us, but there's so much predatory behavior. People are trying to get over on somebody. There's always some kind of scheming and scamming. I know good people who get themselves in a lot of trouble because they just don't really know how to do business. They just know how to scheme and scam. That's not what we're about. Not here on the Mind of an Entrepreneur program, not the Sajdah Circle of Winners, not the Black Muslim Business Directory. That's not what we're about. We're about doing good, strong business and establishing a way of life in how we exchange and introduce goods and services into our communities. Y'all know that many, many new ways of life were established through trade routes. Because when you got a group of people being so cutthroat, stealing, killing, robbing in the name of business, if you find a market where it's safe, you don't have to worry about being cheated. You don't have to worry about being lied to and lied on. You don't have to worry about being robbed. Then that business route, that group of people is who you're going to gravitate towards. And that's who we want to be. When you come around us, you should feel safe. Should be a safe space. Our trade routes and markets should be safe. Our words should be bond. We should be promoting generational wealth through the way in which we do things. We should be demonstrating to our children how to do business in this manner, in a way that propels the community forward and not in a way that is predatory. See, we can't educate our children in conscious universities, whether it's Muhammad University, whether it's an Afrocentric school, and we We educate them that way, and then we send them out into the world of business, but they have no way to compare and contrast what makes sense. I'm wrestling down our youth on this all the time, because hustling, lying, and stealing, that's not our way. And that's not going to be the way for us moving forward, so that we thread our needle through the fall of America. And I know a lot of times that phrase, fall of America, is very offensive to people. But think about it this way. You have an economy, as I said at the beginning of the talk, you have an economy that was based on free labor. That's how this economy was started. If there's no more free labor, then it's going to fall. And another market has to crop up. Either you're going to introduce some more free labor and some more predatory practices, or there has to be a new market and a new way of doing things. And what I'm saying is that there's enough of us that are conscious that we can build an economic exchange where people feel safe. I'm going to say it again. Where people feel safe. They can rely on the goods and services. They don't have to worry about the products killing them. They can feel comfortable. They can build relationships. They can send their children or their youth to intern with us. And they don't have to worry about them learning predatory practices or us having people in the workplace preying upon them. They can come into our marketplaces, whether it be our virtual markets or our physical markets. And if they sit a bag down or sit a cell phone down, ain't nobody stealing. This is what we can do. Don't worry about technology. God has always used technology to move the civilization forward. It was technology in the Bible. What y'all think Ezekiel's wheel was? That's technology. We've always been inventors. When we get off this show, go to YouTube and type in Black inventors. And you'll see that you don't have to be afraid of that. You got Hispanic but what I'm talking about is a tribe. And that doesn't mean that there won't be white people in this market that we're talking about, but I'm talking about a group of conscious people who want to do things the right way. You can be Black, you can be white, you can be whatever color, whatever religion, whatever background you want. But do you want to do business in a safe environment? Do you want to help establish trade routes where people can keep their dignity and do business? If you're about that, then we're about working with you. Okay, so let's see. People asking a few questions. Okay. Miss, I want to say it right. I supported a Black-owned upscale restaurant, and they were surprised we found them. They were used to serving Caucasian people and preferred it. Yeah. I think we just have to get over this. We have to get over this because there's value in nation building. And this is what I'm talking about, is nation building. Some people say, I don't care about nation building. I just want to do my business and leave some money for my children. That's fine. That's your business. But I'm talking about nation building, generational wealth, leaving something for our children. Wealth in the routes that we take in life and business, which is healing ourselves. That's what Sandra D said. Brother Stanley says, would you say open borders is a cheap labor market and that's why the government is behind it? It's possible. I thought about that, Brother Stanley. That's right. Pay it forward, Sister Betty. I thought about that. And I said, I thought about it in one or two ways. Like, because we have, you've probably been hearing about like what they're calling the migrant crisis in Chicago and certain cities throughout the U.S. And I thought about it. I said, are they bringing these people here because they think they're going to get cheap labor? Are they bringing them here to change the demographics of the city and ultimately change the congressional seats. I think there's a lot at play. I'm a firm believer that nothing is really truly black or white. Usually there's a lot of gray matter, especially when you're dealing with people with wicked intentions. They tend to muddy the waters so that there may be two or three things that are true at once. So that very well could be. The other side of that is, who are we to say open borders or not? Or who are they to say open borders or not? Who are they to say that? That's a whole nother subject. There were black people here when y'all got here. And how you gonna come here, J down on the territory, put some borders up, and then say y'all can't come back. This mine now. So there's a lot of karma that's also at play here. So whenever the wicked decide that they want to muddy the water and do something, and they got you focusing over here, you better start looking over there. And don't forget that God always has his hand over it. So we'll see. This is an interesting thing. It should play out. Cheap labor, the migrant travelers, that has been my thought as well. Yeah, I think it's probably a number of different things happening at once. I think it's some people looking at it as cheap labor. I think some people looking at it as a way to change the demographics of some of the cities, which will ultimately change the representation in Congress and in the government. Some of it is that some of it could be spiritual. Some of it could be God's way of evening the playing field. We'll see. And I think it's going to unfold relatively quickly. But I don't want you all getting fixated on one thing. That's not how these people work. If they got you focusing on one thing, oh, they're here in the city, they ain't got nowhere to live. We got to get whatever they got you focused on. Trust me, it's going to be something else. It's always, always, always the underlay for the overplay, as we say in Chicago. So, all right, family, thank you all for listening. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Inshallah, on Saturday morning, we'll be back with Sajdah Saturday Morning Coffee Talks. We're going to be talking about, are you good enough? I went through this really, I've been every month going through, I wrote down 12 different healing steps that I wanted to go through. I started in January of last year, and it was things like just forgiving myself and just different ways in which to heal. And I can tell you that going through those healing processes have literally changed probably the 40 trillion cells in my body. I could see a difference in my face, my skin. I feel like I'm reversing the aging process just through this healing process. I can begin to see different things manifesting, and it's a process and it can be difficult. And so I just been working on that. And so this one I want to share with you all. I have this exercise where I write and have these notes around my house to say, I am good enough. And this one actually says all 40 trillion cells within you are good enough. And so I want to share that. We're going to talk about that Saturday morning. Are we good enough? And what is it that we've gone through that have made us think that we're not good enough? And who's making us think that we're not good enough? All right. And so with that, I pray you all will support, like and subscribe to the channel. You can support Cash App, Sajdah House. We give great information. If you had to attend a class, this likely would cost you upwards over $500 or so. That's what I've been told by my like-minded community, that I should be charging $5.99, $6.99 for these classes. But my thought is, I give away the game for free and disrupt the market, and I just charge for services. So you hire me, definitely trust you're going to get a good business out out of supporting me, out of my supporting you in your business. So, and make sure that you all support the completion of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House. I am inching my way there. Look, your sister is doing some heavy lifting, pretty much by myself. So it's been very heavy. And I thank each and every one of you for whatever donations that you've given, whatever small donations you've given. It's a heavy project. And I got one last heavy hump to get up over the edge to the tune of a little less than $400,000. I've been working my butt off. And one day I will tell the story. It will be in the book. But when I tell you I've been working my butt off, whew. But you know what? The great Messiah is so worth it. And I can't wait. I just can't wait to share it with you all. So please support. If our site is not back up by tomorrow, we're going to redirect it in another way. So we're just giving them time to fix it. They came back wanting to charge us $1,100 just to fix something that they broke. But it's just a scheme to disrupt the fundraising efforts. So if you want a coin, you can email me, sajdahhouse@gmail.com. You can Cash App, go to support sajdahhouse.com to support, and you'll see on there different ways in which you can support. The easiest way is to support directly. There's also sponsorships available because we got a timeline here that we're going off of and a deadline. The sponsorships is what we're going for. So if you have a way in which you can do a sponsorship, email me and I can send you a sponsorship package. Just email me, sajdahhouse@gmail.com. Or if you just say, hey, I'm not ready, then you can always Cash App support. You can always Zelle, but go to support sajdahhouse.com. And if you want a coin, because the website right now is still down, we're tussling with these people. If it's not up by tomorrow, we'll redirect it. But you can email me. Okay, let me put that email address also in here. All right. So that's it. There we go. Okay, family. I love you all. Thank you. And inshallah, we'll see you Saturday. Don't go anywhere. Check out this last commercial. We'll do the two Sajdah House commercials, and then we're out.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who in my judgment is the master historian, taught us that of all our studies, history is the most attractive, and it is best qualified to reward the researcher. History is most attractive. Why should history be most attractive? Because history is the recorded time of the human family in its struggle to overcome obstacles. There is no life that is without struggle. The Holy Quran teaches us that man, meaning man and woman, is made to face difficulties. And after difficulty comes ease. But it is history that guides us through difficulty. For if you know how people who had difficulty yesterday got through, and if your difficulty is somewhat similar, then today we also can get through if we follow the guidance of history. This is why Carter G. Woodson and many of our black giants fought for black people to know our history. Because in not knowing our history, we don't have a guide. And without a guide, we are lost. No wonder the Bible